lanes of traffic are now flowing on 44th Street as the highway fully opened for the morning commute on Tuesday. The city is reminding residents that all traffic control measures that were in place during construction have been removed and that all traffic control signs along the street are now active. Highway 16 and 59th Ave is no longer controlled by traffic lights. 43rd Street and 59 Ave, along with College Drive and 43rd Street, are no longer four-way stops, meaning east or westbound traffic must come to a complete stop before crossing the intersection. The project opened a day after the Halloween deadline to complete work. In this week's Beyond the Classroom, we take a look at the welding program at Holy Rosary High School and the spark it has on students. When welding instructor Kevin Bender first came to Holy Rosary, he was teaching carpentry, but once he noticed that students were curious about welding, he decided to further his education in order to better educate his students.
The students showed an interest, so I took an interest. I started taking courses through Lakeland College. In 2019, I was able to finish my journeyman ticket and Red Seal training. It was excellent for students. I was able to offer them a lot more than I could before, and I completed my B-Pressure certification at the same time.
Holy Rosary High School offers 9 welding courses to their students. Currently, around 100 students are involved in the welding classes, and the students can start in the grade 10 level to learn the basics.
As they move through the levels, the projects get more complicated and more challenging. So we've had students make everything from trailers to furniture to all kinds of different projects in the community, racks, and there's always different ideas that people come with. It seems like endless projects.
Even though welding seems to be a male-dominated field, Bender has seen a lot of girls at Holy Rosary become involved with the program. Some of the girls involved have the goal of taking their welding skills to post-secondary.
I love welding because it gives me a great opportunity and opens up so many doors, and it's just fun to do. What drew me to welding in the first place is that I wanted to become a mechanic, and this was the first way that I could get in that door.
Bender has seen the program grow during his time at Holy Rosary, and a lot of his former students have turned what they learned in the classroom to their careers.
I've had students that have gone into the military and they've come back and said how valuable their experience is here. I've had students that have taken underwater welding programs. I have students that are currently tradespeople around Lloydminster, not only in welding but in other areas as well. The skills overlap to areas like heavy-duty mechanics, automotives, construction.
And that's it for this week's Beyond the Classroom.
At Lakeland College, our students are challenged to go beyond the classroom, so when industry knocks, they're ready to thrive. Learn more at lakelandcollege.ca.
This weekend, the No Stone Left Alone Memorial Foundation will be holding a remembrance ceremony at the Lloydminster Cemetery and placing poppies on the headstones of veterans. Josh Howerlack has more.
Today, I'm joined by Amy Hurinchuk from the No Stone Left Alone Memorial Foundation to talk a little bit about the foundation and the ceremonies that they hold. So to start, could you maybe give me a little bit of information on the No Stone Left Alone Foundation?
So No Stone Left Alone Memorial Foundation started in Edmonton in 2011, going on Maureen Benevici Purvis. Her mother had said, "Don't forget me on Armistice Day." So every Remembrance Day, they would go out, put a poppy on her mom's grave. And her daughter actually went, "Well, what about the other veterans? Why don't they have poppies?" So it grew from there. It was the concept, and it just grew to making sure that there's no headstones left alone on Remembrance Day, that they all get poppies.
And so you'll be coming to Lloydminster this weekend. Could you maybe tell me a little bit about what the ceremony here will entail?
So on Saturday is going to be the 7th year that we've had the ceremony in Lloydminster. Ceremony is going to start at 10:30, and it's going to have, I believe, 3 or 4 different readings, and we're going to have Mayor Albers there as well as MLA Young. They'll do a greeting during the ceremony, which is about half hour long, and then afterwards we've got students from Ecole St. Thomas and the Lloydminster Girl Guides will go out and lay poppies on all the headstones in the cemetery.
And so it seems that for the ceremonies that the foundation holds, it's very important to engage children in the ceremonies. Why do you think that's so important?
It's just make sure that how to word this, gets them out there remembering and actually acting upon it. Whereas now we're over 100 years away from all the world wars, so to them it's history within a book, and they're just seeing names. This way they're going out, they're seeing actual headstones of veterans, and they're able to put names to it. They can research more about that person and learn more about what they did growing up, and more on the wars.
And so why would you say that this foundation is so important to you?
That's a good question because I actually have no military in my family. I've always loved supporting our veterans and doing what I can for them. And I just was out visiting my grandparents' gravesite because they were in Lloydminster when I was growing up, and just thought, going, well, I'm not sure if it would make it out way out here because it was about 5 years into it starting in Edmonton, and got involved with No Stone Left Alone in 2015.
And so where would people be able to find any more information about the foundation and what they do?
Their website is nostoneleftalone.ca. And that's got all the ceremonies there. It's got resources for teachers and students as well there.
And so will the ceremony this weekend be open to anybody who wants to come out?
Yeah, because there are no outdoor restrictions at the moment for Saskatchewan, they are more than welcome to attend the ceremony. We do request that masks are worn during the ceremony, just because we can't ensure that social distancing can happen. So we just want to keep everybody safe as possible.
Great. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me.
Big Brothers Big Sisters of Lloydminster is kicking off its holiday season, as Tate Laycraft has more on their Christmas shopping tables.
Today on Primetime Local News, I'm joined by a familiar face as Jacqueline Weed from the Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Lloydminster is here to talk about a couple of things that they've got going on in this month of November. The first of which is giving people a different way to shop in anticipation of this holiday season. So, Jacqueline, just to open things up, what can you tell people about your Christmas table initiative?
So our Christmas shopping table started, I would say, about 5 years ago. We had just leftover things around the agency, and so what we started doing was we put them out on a table, and people that were coming for our after school program, so the families and the kids could shop and buy these things. So we ran it kind of like that until COVID hit. And last year we were like, well, how do we do this? So now, and last year as well, what we've done is we've put tables in our lobby, and we have items with tags on them, and every day we restock the table, take pictures of the items that are available, and post them on Facebook. And then people can come in and shop, or they can call us and reserve their items and then pick up their items. And so shopping hours are between 10 and 3 every day. And so right around 10 every day, people watch our Facebook page and then they call. And it's great fun as they're asking, is this available? Is this available? And a great way for them to get their shopping done. So items start at $1, and then depending what they are, go up from there.
And something that's coming up at the end of the month, which I believe is a nationwide program for BBBS, is Giving Tuesday. So could you just touch base on how it works as well as what it aims to accomplish?
Giving Tuesday is actually an initiative run through Canada Helps, and it is worldwide, actually. Our local agency participates in it. Big Brothers Big Sisters of Canada participates in it. And what it is it's after Black Friday. So in the United States for their Thanksgiving, they traditionally have Black Friday. So it's a day of giving. They designed that on purpose to remind people going into the holiday season that that's what it's about. So yes, you can give financially, you can also give your time. So for us, it's just as important if you give financially as if you give your time and become a mentor. So we'll have lots of things leading up to then. We will have on the day, we will have a specific link that you can go on our Facebook page to donate, or if you want to get involved as a volunteer. And then that kicks off the holiday season. And you and I we'll talk more at the end of the month, and we have a fun fundraiser that we're going to announce.
Then, just before we say goodbye, for anyone who might be interested in checking out your Christmas table over the coming weeks, where can they go online to do so?
They can check out our Facebook page and our Instagram page, and we'll have all the information on there for them, or they could give the office a call and we can provide them with the information as well.
Thanks so much for your time, Jacqueline.
Now Shelby Clark will get a first look at tonight's weather.
Thanks so much, Jazz. And now taking a first look at your weather forecast here in the border city, we are sitting at 5 degrees with a little mix of some sun and cloud as usual. As we are heading into the winter season, it is a lot cooler in those mornings, but as the sun came out, it started turning into a beautiful day today. Switching over to temperatures across the region for Alberta and Saskatchewan here. On the Alberta side, most are sitting around that 6 and 7 degree mark. Vegreville and Edmonton are 8 and 9 degrees. Wainwright is at 10 degrees and Provost is at 9. So down in Wainwright and Provost, they are seeing a lot warmer temperatures. And switching over to our Saskatchewan side here, they are cooling down quite a bit compared to the Alberta side from what we're seeing. 4 degrees in Isle Cross and Maidstone there, 7 in Green Lake, 6 in Meadow Lake. Pierceland is at 5 degrees as well as in St. Walburg, and Macklin is kind of like on the Alberta side there at 10 degrees. And as we switch over to North Battleford, overnight they will be going down to a low of -8 with a lot more cloudier skies throughout the night. Tomorrow they will warm up to 8 degrees with a little mix of some sun and cloud. Cold Lake overnight they'll be going down to a low of -7. They will be seeing more clouds in sight as well. And tomorrow they will warm up to 9 degrees and they will catch a little bit more sun peeking behind those clouds compared to what they've been seeing today. And now here in the border city, overnight we'll be going down to a low of -6, but with that wind chill, it will be feeling like more like -9. Not as cool as we've been seeing throughout the week, but it will be seeing -6 throughout the night. And tomorrow we'll warm up to 10 degrees and we will be seeing a little bit more cloudier skies compared to what we've been seeing today. And now switching over to our 3-day forecast for here in the border city. Thursday, as I was saying, we will see cloudier skies, but we will warm up to 10 degrees with a low of -6. Friday, starting off the weekend, we will be starting off a little bit warmer with 8 degrees on Friday. We will see a lot more sun, so maybe that'll warm up that day for when we start off the weekend. And Saturday, we'll be seeing a lot more sun as well, but we will be cooling down to 6 degrees. That's the first look at your weather forecast. We'll have more news coming up after the break.
Welcome back. Our Shelby Clark catches up with the best-selling and award-winning author on her newest mystery novel called Her Perfect Life.
Joining us today for Primetime Local News is USA Today bestselling author and Emmy-winning reporter Hank Philippi Ryan. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us.
Shelby, nice to be here. It's wonderful to see you again.
Of course, it's great to speak with you again as well. So now we're speaking on your newest novel called Her Perfect Life. It's a mystery thriller. Can you tell us more about this?
I am so in love with this book. It is my 13th book, which is kind of crazy. It's a cat and mouse thriller. There was a wonderful exercise on Twitter, of all places, that said, can you describe your book in 5 words? And I figured out for Her Perfect Life, this is it. Isn't that gorgeous? I figured out sisters, betrayal, fame, guilt, and revenge. Sisters, betrayal, fame, guilt, and revenge, and all those roiling controversies and conflicts that go into that. And so then there was another thing on Facebook that said, describe your book in 5 phrases. So Her Perfect Life in 5 phrases is a beloved reporter with a dark secret, a missing college student, and that's not the secret, an anonymous source, a clandestine, passionate weekend at a ski resort, and a child's little pink suitcase that is surprisingly empty. So bottom line, Her Perfect Life is a fast-paced, page-turning cat and mouse thriller about 2 smart women. One of them is Lily Atwood. Lily Atwood is a beloved television reporter, so perfect that her fans have given her a hashtag, Perfect Lily. And everyone knows Lily Atwood, and that could be her big problem because Lily has fame, she has fortune, she has Emmys, she's the single mom to an adorable 7-year-old daughter. But she also has a dark secret, and she fears that someone's going to tell this secret. But how do you keep a secret if you're always in the spotlight? So Lily begins to learn that the spotlight is the most dangerous place of all. So quickly, two smart women facing off in a high-stakes psychological cat and mouse game to prove their truth about a devastating childhood betrayal. But which woman is the cat and which woman is the mouse? And that is Her Perfect Life, which is now, just after a couple of weeks on sale, already in a second printing. So I am thrilled about that.
Now, with you being an author and also an investigative reporter for a number of years now, was there a moment in your life that inspired you to write this book, and how was the writing process like?
Well, Shelby, that's interesting because you know what it's like to be recognized. You know what it's like to go to the grocery store and have people say, "Oh, Shelby, I see you on TV." And that's wonderful. And I have been a television reporter for 43 years. You know, I've wired myself with hidden cameras, I've confronted corrupt politicians, I've gone undercover and in disguise. But that idea of having a public life is something that it was really intriguing for me to reveal in this book. Think about it. You know, once my house was broken into, and when I got to the scene, I said to the police officer, "What happened? That's my house." And he said, "Yeah, we caught a burglar inside your house." And he said, "The burglar told us that he had robbed you because he knew you were live anchoring the news. So he knew you weren't home." And how vulnerable is that? How dangerous is that? And I started thinking about, what if I had had something in my house that was secret, that I thought I was keeping from people, and that burglar found it? What would I do then? So you, of all people, understand the vulnerability of being on television. We love it. We love people to know us. We love people to come up to us and say, "Ooh, I have such a good story." And that's great. But on the other hand, there's a little bit of a danger that's involved in that. I mean, you talked about my Emmys, and every one of the Emmys that I have represents not only something good that we did, but a secret that someone didn't want me to tell, right? And so every one of those Emmys also represents an enemy. And that is what I was trying to portray with Lily Atwood in Her Perfect Life.
Since you have released this newest novel, how has support been so far?
Well, it's been great because Lily Atwood in Her Perfect Life is a single mom, and she's trying to protect her daughter. Lily Atwood chose the spotlight, and she knows how to deal with it. But her little 7-year-old daughter, Rowan, didn't choose the spotlight. So Lily, like all single moms, like all moms, is having to juggle her professional career and what she needs to do to stay where she is, and her personal life, protecting her family. And what if those two are at loggerheads? So everyone who has a family has really, and that's all of us, actually, everyone who has a family has been so connected with this. You know, we all understand what it's like to balance our personal and professional lives. You got a starred review from Kirkus and a starred review from Publishers Weekly. So I know the professional readers and reviewers love it. But the idea that my readers have put it into a second printing already is incredibly gratifying. That idea, we write by ourselves. I'm sitting here in this very office at this very computer writing my books. And the idea that readers will read them still brings tears to my eyes. It is still such a joy to hear how much people are enjoying these books. You know, the pandemic has been so, I don't know, so sad and kept us apart so much. And I always say it's always safe inside a book where you're living someone else's life and dealing with someone else's problems. And in the end, there will be some justice. So especially in these times of pandemic, the idea of being able to be a storyteller and take my readers' minds off of the real world, that has been a real treasure.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, like where people can access this right now?
You know, happily and delightedly, Her Perfect Life is everywhere. You can buy it in any bookstore. You can buy it online. And just as important, you can find me on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram if you come to my website, hankphillipuryan.com. When you click on contact, that comes right to me. You know, I'm sort of the poster child for following your dreams in midlife. I didn't start writing till I was 55 years old. So I guess I'm the proof that if there is something that you want to do, if there is something that your viewers want to do, this is the time to do it. And I'm proof that it's never too late to follow your dreams.
Perfect. Such great advice. Thank you so much again for joining us today, Hank Phillippi-Ryan.
My complete pleasure. I wish you all the best.
Here's a look at your stock market prices for today.
Today's oil prices are brought to you by First General Services.
Welcome back. It's regarded as one of Canada's premier cattle shows, and it's back for the 43rd year. Jillian Code takes us inside this year's Stockade Roundup.
Entering the ring, we now have entry number 638.
The Lloydminster Agricultural Exhibition Association's 2021 Stockade Roundup kicked off Tuesday evening with the Princess of the Prairie's Bred Heifer Showdown. Yearling heifers got the show started for this year's event. Animals eligible in this show have to be born in 2020. They're then seated in the competition bracket by age.
We got a heifer show today. Then there's 2 junior shows. Our oldest son, that's 8, showing in 2 junior shows.
This is the second year that Justin Morrison has attended this event with his family's farm, Brooking Angus Ranch. He says the Stockade Roundup is so much more than just a cattle show.
There's a lot of cows in this area, and we do have some, we've made connections from being here and sold cattle. Like say last year the show was here in November, and we sold cattle, the following March because of being here.
In between the washing, the trimming, and the blow drying of the animals, participants are networking with colleagues and prospective buyers.
Guys that buy cattle from you, if they never see you or hear from you, it's hard to sell stuff to them, and this place is pretty important to be able to connect with those kind of people.
Cattle shows will continue throughout the week, with the event wrapping Saturday afternoon. Jillian Code, Primetime Local News.
Now we'll take a look at your agriculture prices. The Atlanta Braves have won their 4th World Series championship in franchise history.
Left side, Swanson to first. The Braves are world champions!
The Braves routed the Houston Astros 7-0 to take Game 6 of the World Series. This was Atlanta's first championship since 1995. And now Shelby Clark will get another look at your Wednesday weather.
Thanks so much, Jazz. So now taking another look at your weather forecast. As usual, we'll be starting off with taking a look at temperatures around the central region of Alberta and Saskatchewan here. On the Alberta side, Rocky Mountain House and Red Deer are at that warmest point at 3 and 14 degrees, 11 in Jasper, while the rest are cooling down quite a bit. Edmonton is at 9 degrees, Athabasca is at that 8-degree mark, and 6 and 4 in Whitecourt and Edson. As we switch over to the Saskatchewan side here, Cold Lake is at 6 degrees as well as in Meadow Lake, 7 in Prince Albert and Saskatoon, while Mountford is at 8 degrees. So looking a little bit cooler over on the Saskatchewan side there. And as we switch over to our northern region of the provinces, they are seeing around the same temperatures as what we're seeing in the central region here. 2 degrees in Uranium City and Stony Rapids, 5 degrees in Wollaston Lake, 6 in South End and Flin Flon, while it's 8 in La Ronge, and the rest are sitting at that 7-degree point. Switching over to this end here, 7 as well in Fort McMurray and Peace River, 8 in Slave Lake there. Grand Prairie is a little bit warmer, sitting at 9 degrees, and Fort Chipewyan and High Level at that 4 and 5 degree mark. As we switch over to our southern region of the provinces, they are seeing some warmer temperatures as usual here. Lethbridge is at 13 degrees. Medicine Hat and Calgary are even almost at that 20-degree point, sitting at 15. Coronation is at 9 degrees, and Banff is the coolest, sitting at 7. Switching over to this side here, 13 in Swift Current, 10 degrees in Moose Jaw and Estevan, 9 degrees in Kindersley and Norton, while Regina is at 8. And switching back to across our region, the temperatures overnight tonight for our lows. Throughout the night, we are seeing slightly warmer than what we've been seeing throughout the week. A low of -9 for Meadow Lake and Paradise Hill, Murnum and Provost tonight. Isla Cross will be seeing slightly warmer with a low of -4. Pearson and Unity will both be seeing a low of -8, and Wainwright and Bonnyville will be seeing a low of -7. So they're all around that same mark there, while Isla Cross is slightly warmer, and most spots will be seeing a couple clouds in sight, and there won't be too much clear skies, except for Meadow Lake, Provost, and Wainwright may be seeing a little bit more clear skies throughout the night. And as we switch to temperatures tomorrow across the region, we will warm up just a bit for our Thursday here. Marwayne, Vermilion, and Wainwright will be seeing a slightly warmer at 11 degrees tomorrow, while Lac La Biche and Edmonton will be seeing that 10-degree point, while the rest will be seeing around 7, 8, 9 degrees, and Isla Cross will be seeing the coolest at that 4-degree point tomorrow. And as we end off with our 7-day forecast for here in the border city, Thursday, we will be warming up there to 10 degrees, but we will be seeing cloudier skies. Friday, we'll be starting off this weekend a bit warmer compared to what we've been seeing last weekend, with 8 degrees on Friday with a little bit more sun peeking behind those clouds. Saturday and Sunday, we'll see 6 degrees, a mix of some sun and cloud on both those days for our weekend. And Monday, we'll be starting off next week on a cooler note with 4 degrees on Monday with a mix of some sun and cloud as well. And Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll be cooling down to 1 degree on Tuesday there with a little bit more sun peeking behind those clouds. And Wednesday, unfortunately, yes, we will be seeing a higher chance of some snow coming on Wednesday, so get prepared for that as we are heading more into the winter season. That is another look at your weather forecast. We'll have more news coming up after the break.
Stephanie Dobson is back with us this week for a segment of Healthy, Thriving Family After Divorce. Now, Stephanie, this week we're going to be talking about gray divorce. So can you explain to me what exactly gray divorce is?
Sure. It's a term that basically pretty intuitive. It means it's for couples who are separating later in life. So that often that term goes along with separating after the age of 50, or for parents who have children who have already left home and who are on their own.
So now you have some statistics, Stephanie, in regards to gray divorce. Can you kind of let us know what some of those numbers might be?
Yeah, in coming up with this topic, I thought it would be interesting for our viewers to look at some of the numbers. And interestingly, Stats Can stopped taking statistics on marriages and divorce back in 2008. So in Canada, it's a little bit harder to figure out what the rates are with respect to divorce, and then more particularly gray divorce. So I've got some statistics that are a little bit older, but they show a trend. So I've got that the divorce rate back in around, when was it? It was about 2008 was 38 to 40% of people who are married who go through a divorce. So generally between the years of 1993 and 2003, the divorce rate declined by about 11%. But for those couples between the ages of 50 and 64, the divorce rate actually rose by 34%. And then for those even in the older age group, so between 55 and 59, it rose by 47.8%. 60 to 64, it rose by 31.7%. And then for those ages 65 and older, it rose by 9.2%. Now, in the States, there's more studies that are done with respect to marriages and divorces. And so I'll give you some US statistics that also drive home this point. So there's a book, I know some authors named Dr. Carol Hughes and Bruce Fredenberg, who wrote a book called Home Will Never Be the Same Again, and they explore the issue of gray divorce. So in that book, they refer to some statistics, more so worldwide, but there's one from the US by Bowling Green State University in 2012, which found that the divorce rate between 1990 and 2010 for those coupled ages 50 or older has doubled. And for those ages over the age of 65, it is more than doubled. So these results are staggering, and it really certainly shows a trend, not only in Canada, but in the US and also worldwide.
Stephanie, what do you think the reason is for the increase in this gray divorce? Especially when you hear statistics like people 65 and older still getting divorced, that seems not common, or normally would be something not common. So what do you think is the reason for this?
It's of course, it's really hard to know, and anything that I say about this is of course just based on some of my experiences or observations or some of my own thoughts. There's no real right answer to this, but first I attribute some of this perhaps to there being more dual income earners out there. And so in past decades, there's been perhaps more traditional marriages. And what I mean by that is, of course, that there's one primary breadwinner in the family and the other spouse either works part-time or has a lower income or stays home completely and doesn't earn an income. And so with those more traditional marriages, it can be more difficult and disabling for people to separate given the circumstances around their relationship. So having more dual income earners might be one possible reason. Another reason, and this is just more so based on what I've seen. I've been in practice for about 16 years, and I've seen some trends here. And so I talk about the level of dependency that's created by a relationship. And so in my view, what I've seen happen over the years is there be less and less dependency created. Now, one sort of dependency is, of course, financial dependency, which we've already gone through. But there's other factors of dependency. And so I find that there's more independence within a relationship that could be cause for people to say later in life, I'm not dependent on you as far as my happiness or as far as finances or any other way. And so I feel like I can move forward myself. Now, third, we also know that life expectancy keeps increasing as modern medicine and our health care industry progresses. And so, some people older in age might think, I've got lots of years ahead of me. I want to be happy, and so therefore they choose to separate.
Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us this week, and we will be back again to chat with you next week.
Down on the bottom, no place to go but up. Always been in trouble, nearly all my life.
I'm joined today by Colin James here on Primetime Local News. Colin is a familiar face, been around first in Saskatchewan, where you grew up in Regina, and now you get to live out in sunny BC. Thanks for joining us today, Colin.
All right, thank you.
Well, Colin, we're looking forward to seeing your performance here next month in Lloydminster. And this is coming on the heels of an album that's to be released next week called Open Road. Tell me about the album.
Well, Open Road is a third of a kind of a trilogy of records, starting with Blue Highways in 2016, I guess, 2017. And then Miles to Go is the one we did previously. All these records kind of bring me back to some of my favorite blues songs that I grew up with, and kind of reintroducing me to an audience south of the border in the blues world, where we've been kind of living a little more in lately. And so it's the third of that record. I recorded all three with the same co-producer named David Mazzaros. David's a young computer engineer, sound guy who also works in the music business and the management business, but he lives in London, England. He used to live here. We did the first two records here. And on this record, because of the pandemic, of course, we did it all remotely. He would take over my computer. I would sit here and watch his mouse crossfading and editing and helping me make sure I placed my microphones on the cone of the speakers the correct way. So I had to learn how to engineer my own record, which is a bit new for me. I've always engineered my studio a little bit, but mostly for songwriting, not necessarily records. So, yeah.
Now,
So that's it. That's this record. And I suppose the only other thing I should say is you don't want to make the same record every time. So this record, we tried to, a couple songs are maybe a little more contemporary than the other records were.
the single that's out now, Colin, Down on the Bottom, had a chance to watch the video for that. Where was that shot? Because it looks kind of like the prairies.
Yeah, we picked it for that reason. It's actually right here in Vancouver. It's in the south, towards Ladner, where a lot of the gardens are and big greenhouses. And we found a perfect dirt road. It was a private dirt road, and the owner was nice enough to let us film. But we had no idea that train was coming by. Like, I knew there was trains on that track, but one of the happiest accidents of the whole day, and we did it all in 2 days, because we did some in morning light. We did the other, when we did the transitions, we had that golden hour to work with. And the train just came by us during the last take, and I went, oh my God, don't break. Like, you wanted to look. So I had to keep playing and not look, because we were getting a pretty good take out of it. So I enjoyed the process a lot.
So what's it like now that you're going to go back touring? There's been so much that musicians have had to stop during the pandemic, not live shows and just doing a lot online. Is it a much bigger deal to tour now? Is there a lot more things you have to consider?
Well, yeah. I mean, just because of restrictions and potential restrictions on this tour, we're pretty unencumbered in the fact that it's a double vaccine situation. In some couple shows, they're hot spots. We've had to, well, we don't know for sure yet, but I might have to do 2 shows in one night, which is pretty taxing when you haven't worked for a while, to do 4 shows in a row in 2 days. That might be tough, but I'm happy to be back out there. I've got a new member from, like I say, he's a Canadian, but he's been living in Austin for 5 years. And he's coming up for this as well. And I'm looking forward to, we're having some rehearsal here and then hitting the road. I got Steve Mariner on harmonica, who's just absolutely fantastic. I'd have to venture to say Steve Mariner is one of the best harmonica players Canada, if not North America, has ever produced. I just love his playing. He's playing bass with me as well. And the other guy is Anders Drerup on the other guitar. And he was actually on The Voice last year or 2 years ago.
When people are coming out to these shows, Colin, do you still play some of the original classics that, from the late 80s, Voodoo Thing, 5 Long Years, Dream of Satin, that type of thing? Or have you gotten away from that and sticking more to the later stuff that you've produced?
20 records gives you a lot of room to move. And I do some of it. Like, you mentioned 2 that I may not do.
Right.
But Voodoo Thing I'll do occasionally. If it's better in a rock set. It's better in a full band setting.
Right.
I don't mind. I mean, it's okay. But I think there's songs that suit the format better than that song would. But I do, we do Just Came Back. We do 5 Long Years. We do Why July, So Keep On Loving Me, Baby. We do that. And then it's just trying to, introduce some of the new material. And the nicest thing about these acoustic shows, I always forget how much I love them, because they're, they got more space. They have more potential for moments. I love the full band thing, but it tends to be, it's a bit more of an onslaught. And we'll be doing that soon enough as well, because, we're going to do this smaller tour, get our feet wet again and get the hands working again. Nothing replicates playing live, and you could sit in woodshed in a room forever. It's not going to have the same adrenaline, the same things that you've done all your life. So anyway, I'm looking forward to that. And in the new year, we'll probably end up going from east to west on a Canadian tour, February or so. We haven't announced it yet. And then we're straight off to play with Buddy Guy on a string of shows through the States. And I'm super excited about that. We started in Beverly Hills the day after Vancouver. We're straight down and we're off for like another 3 weeks. So it's going to be a crazy amount of playing comparatively to the last 2 years.
Well, Colin, it sounds like you've got so much on the go, and we're so excited that you're coming to Lloydminster. It's just great to see talent like yours coming out to see us. So November 20th here in Lloydminster. And if anybody is looking to get the album when it's out next week, or even listen to the single, what's the best place to find all of that information on you?
ColinJames.com. It's there. And we have a YouTube channel as well, where we've done a series called On the Couch. Me and my wife during the pandemic, just to keep busy and keep playing, did a few, went over the different guitars and some of the gear, and we just stories about songs and stuff like that. But ColinJames.com, all the dates are on there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for speaking with us today, Colin, and we'll see you in Lloydminster in a few weeks.
Pleasure.
And now taking another look at your 7-day forecast here. Thursday, we'll see a lot more cloudier skies with that 10-degree mark. So we will warm up a bit tomorrow, but we won't see as much sun. Friday, starting off this weekend, we will start off a bit warmer with 8 degrees on Friday with a mix of some sun and cloud. We'll keep seeing that sun for the weekend on Saturday and Sunday with that 6-degree mark on both those days. So looking a little bit warmer compared to last weekend. And starting off next week on Monday, we'll be starting off on a cooler note with 4 degrees on Monday with a little bit more sun peeking behind those clouds as well. And Tuesday and Wednesday, we will unfortunately cool down a bit as we head more into the winter season with 1 degree on Tuesday and a -1 on Wednesday with a 40% chance of some snow.
Thank you for joining us on Primetime Local News, and you can catch the second hour on CITL.